On Friday, August 4th, I sat down with Robert Weisberg, a volunteer firefighter from Commack, Long Island, who is hiking the Appalachian Trail to raise awareness for veterans and first responders facing PTSD and other mental challenges. Unfortunately, many who face these challenges ultimately take their own lives, which is tragic and must be prevented. He is raising funds for Paws of War, a not-for-profit that rescues dogs and trains them as therapy or service dogs for veterans and first responders in need. We sat down with Rob and asked him a few questions.
My name is Rob Weisberg. I was a firefighter at the World Trade Center on September 11th. I was trapped in both the collapses and now I have PTSD. As a result of that, what I'm trying to do now is hike the Appalachian Trail and use the trail as an opportunity for myself to do a bit of a reset for myself to deal with my PTSD. But while I'm doing this, I'm also trying to raise awareness about suicide within the veteran, active military, and first responder communities. I'm also looking to raise funds for an organization called Paws of War, which is an organization that supports veterans, active military, and first responders with PTSD.
Can you describe your experience at the World Trade Center on 9/11?
Yeah, it was a really challenging time. I was underneath the towers when the first plane hit. I was actually on my way to my accounting job, and I went to my office and told them there that they didn't have enough people to handle this, so I was going to respond to the firehouse across the street from the Trade Center. And they all knew my background. I said, "Yeah, do what you have to do." When I got there, when I got to the firehouse, I saw the captain who was in quarters. His guys were all out at another call at the time. There was a gas leak going on. So he was like, "You're all I have." And basically he put me in charge of setting up a triage center, which was probably the first, if not one of the first, triage locations for Lower Manhattan when this all happened. As a result of being so close to the Trade Center, when the buildings came down, we ended up getting trapped in both the collapses. Basically, we had to self-rescue and then still deal with the people that were inside the firehouse. An ambulance came over from Brooklyn, and I had them park their rig in one of the bays in the firehouse, and it looks like I made the right choice because we actually had a jet engine come into the firehouse and crush the ambulance. Had the ambulance been in the other bay, that jet engine would have killed a lot of people. As it was, we did have one person get killed in the firehouse, and for myself, that was very difficult to deal with. For many years, I blamed myself, even though logically I know I had nothing to do with causing their death. I still took responsibility for it. So over the years, I've kept my PTSD quiet. I didn't tell anybody about it. Very few people knew about it. Very few people knew really what I was dealing with for all those years. And it got to the point where I just got tired of hiding it. Tired of the stigma behind it, around the stigma around mental health, and so I decided to hike the trail and use the trail as a tool to share my experience. On Facebook, I have a page, Rob Weisberg Appalachian Trail Hike, where people can follow my hike, and I'll talk about what life was like on the trail, day by day as best I can. But I'm also putting in additional posts about what it's like living with PTSD. It's very candid. I know I'm making myself very vulnerable, but the way I look at it, if I can help reduce that, get rid of that stigma, then that's definitely a step forward. I'm also looking to inspire those who may be quiet like I've been for so long to actually get help and talk about it. And the way I look at it, I was very close to suicide. I had it planned out. I just had to do it. Okay. If I can inspire one person to get help instead of doing something that would be irreversible, then mission accomplished.
Why did you choose the long trail, or the Appalachian Trail?
Yeah, I'm an Eagle Scout. I grew up in scouting. I grew up being outdoors. My friends now, they all tell me the same thing. When we're hiking, we're camping, canoeing, fishing, they all say, Rob, we never see that smile anywhere else. So I know for myself, the outdoors is definitely my happy place. And I figured, it's about 6 months to go from Georgia to Maine. So why not just go and be where I'm happy and just give myself a chance to process a lot of the stuff that I haven't dealt with all these years.
Are you hoping to raise money as well as awareness for this?
Right.
This
so I'm looking to raise funds for an organization called Paws of War. What they do is, if you don't have a dog, they get you one. In my case, I already had a dog. So all the training for us together, so he can become a fully certified service animal, and any veterinary care that I may need for him, everything's 100% covered. They don't ask for a dime. So I figured this would be a great way for me to say thank you to Paws of War by having them as someone who can benefit from my hike. And it's not just the training that they do and everything we do with our dogs. For example, my dog, he knows some of my physical cues when I start going into a bad place. And when he sees me doing certain things, he comes over and gives me a whack with his paw. And it's his way of saying, hey, come on, let's go for a walk. Let's do something. Let's change it up before you start ending up in a bad place. But in addition to that, if I go to Paws of War and say to somebody, I'm having a bad day, pretty much everybody else there understands. If they're having a bad day, they can talk to me. If I'm having a bad day, I can talk to them. If I tell my family I'm having a bad day, it's not their fault that they don't get it. But it's just, Paws of War is a place, it's a safe place where I can be me.
What has been the reaction from firefighters or other service members that you've met along the trail?
I'll tell you, it's been phenomenal. The reaction that I've received, I've stopped at different firehouses along the way, okay? And the support from these guys has been unbelievable. They totally appreciate and understand what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. The reality is, we see things that most people never see, okay? And it could be one bad call, or it could be a bunch of little calls that over time get to you. And just for them to say, hey, we get it, we know why you're doing this, it is phenomenal. I've also had veterans come up to me to say thank you. I had a Vietnam vet come up to me who's been following my hike, wrapped me in a huge hug, buried his face in my shoulder crying, saying, thank you, someone understands me.
And then you're going all the way up to Maine.
That's the plan,
which
as
is
long as my knees hold out.
And that's where the trail ends?
Trail ends in Maine. So I started March 11th. My Cinderella story would have been to finish on September 11th, but the trail's tough, okay? So I'm gonna need a little more time. So by the end of September, I should be in Maine.
Do you have any big plans for when you get there? Any celebration?
When I get home.
When I get home.
The last 5.5 miles are grueling, and it's not like you can just have your family there waiting for you. It's a lot of bouldering. It's a full day because it's 5.5 miles up, and then you got to get back. So it's an 11-mile day, which could take over 12 hours. Okay, so it's a full day, and to ask my family and friends and everybody to go through that, no, I couldn't do that to them.
And has your family been super supportive of you doing this, or are they nervous about you or anything like that?
They're very supportive and very nervous. When I had my send-off, one of the founders from Paws of War was saying to everybody how dangerous this is. And my wife got to the point, she's like, can he please stop saying how dangerous it is?
Yeah. Anything you want to say to the viewers, or any words of advice for hiking or PTSD, anything like that?
The biggest thing I could say is get help. All right, there's no shame in it. I don't know why people feel like they can't share that they're having an issue. If somebody has a heart issue, everyone, go to the cardiologist. If somebody has another issue, go to that doctor. If someone has a problem with their brain, all of a sudden it's like you can't talk about it. But meanwhile, the brain controls everything else. So there shouldn't be any stigma around this. Definitely, if you're having an issue, definitely seek help.
Awesome. Well, thank you for chatting, and
no problem.
And good luck on the rest of your hike.
Thank you very much.